Hey, this is Rob. Welcome to Classic Microcomputers. Today, we're going to be talking about and programming this guy here. But first, let's do this. So the time is late 1970s, and a programmer by the name of Warren Robinette was assigned to do two programs for the Atari 2600. One of them, I'm sure you might have heard of, is called Adventure. And that's a pretty famous one. But one you maybe not be so familiar with is basic programming for the Atari 2600. The neat thing about this is that it really was a good technical achievement for the late 70s, especially on the Atari 2600. Remember, it was called the VCS, or the Video Computer System. So Atari really had an interesting position of trying to introduce people to computers. And the best way that they could do this was to introduce a basic programming cartridge for the video game system. Now, the Atari Basic Programming Cartridge was met with mixed reactions. On one hand, it was praised as an ambitious and educational tool that introduced the concepts of programming to a young audience on a home video game console. But on the other hand, it was heavily criticized for its severe limitations. Remember, this was maybe the first exposure to coding for some kids and adults, and it might spark that lifelong interest in computer science. The limitations, of course, were based on the tiny amount of memory that was actually available inside the 2600, and it made it impossible to write any substantially complex programs. Many users found the interface cumbersome, and I'm going to show you why here shortly. And the programming experience could be a little frustrating, and we'll talk about that too. But it's actually remembered as a fascinating and maybe a little bit flawed piece of software, but a wonderful piece of history. And a lot of early game developers will tell you that they had this in their Atari 2600 at the time. So one of the things we're going to be looking at is the memory that's involved. Programs were limited to a total of 64 bytes, which had to be shared between the code itself and variables used. So this memory constraint typically allowed for programs of only 9 to 11 lines of code. It only had single letter variable names, A through Z. The language only supported integer numbers from 0 to 99, and it had a really small command set. It had if, then, go to, print key, a set of the four mathematical operators, and mod. And then it had graphic clear to clear the screen. And then it had six special variables. Hor1, which was horizontal 1, vert1, hor2, vert2, note, and hit. And we're going to go through these, and you'll see these shortly. All right, so when you power up, and I'm going to show you a picture of what I got here. I'm not running this as an emulator. This is really my 2600 hooked to video capture into my computer. So when you power up, this is what you see. And there, at first glance, it seems like there's a lot going on, but there's really not. Once you get the hang of it, it's all pretty simple. So up here on the screen, and don't mind, I got my reading specs on. The keyboard pads are really small, the printing on them. So up top you have a status up here. And, oh look, I can do that. So you got this status up here. And then it tells you the symbols, which is the amount of memory you have, and the speed of execution, which is pretty cool. We're going to show that to you in a minute, how that works. And then you drop into your program, your stack, which is kind of like what's going on, your variables you use, and your output, which is for text output. Now, basic programming also uses the left and right skill player buttons on the console itself to collapse windows. So I can do this, and I can collapse all those windows, and down below is a graphic screen with a block on there that I can control. So, and then if I want to bring those back, I can hit this like this. All right, I don't think the right one did anything. All right, you can also use game select, which clears the variables out, and then you could use reset, which resets the whole thing. So, and funny, the book itself actually has, like when you do something and you're done doing that, instead of like resetting, the book actually tells you just turn it off and on. So I don't know what that's about, but so let's go ahead and write our first program. Now, it's going to be a little cumbersome to get used to at first, but it seems that once you get it, it's really not too bad. So let's just do a real easy one. We'll do a variable a, and we'll set variable a to 10. And then I'll hit this, and then I'll do new line. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, real simple for this one, we're going to print A. And there we have our first program. So let's go ahead and do this, and then I'm going to go ahead and run it. And if you noticed, my symbol number has changed on the screen, and it doesn't appear that anything's really happened. So let me go down here, try to show you what's going on. Let me collapse some of these windows, the program, the stack, and I can get to the output there. So let's go back to program for a sec. All right, did that not run? Ah, there it is. Apparently I didn't run it. So if you noticed, there's the stack, the variable, A is 10, and the output seems to be a text-based window. And then you have the graphic window, which shows up, and I can collapse all the windows and show you down here. So you could take a look at that too, and then I could get these out of the way, I believe, to make that window bigger. Is that the status? No, is that the stack? There it is. So I could do that to show that. Now, what I thought was interesting too is if you notice in the status window up here, there's a speed. And you can actually slow your program down. And now when I run it, you can watch it run. So that's pretty cool. It's a little difficult to use on the keypad, but think about this. I mean, this is really pretty amazing what we've done here to write a program for the Atari 2600. So we printed the variable A. Yeah, I know. Well, why don't we go ahead and do something fun with the 2600? So let's do this. Let me... Oh, it was game select that seems to reset everything. Reset seemed to just reset the variables. All right, so what I'm going to do now is let's write our first little program, real program that actually does something. So let me do this, and I'm going to do A. And if you notice, there's not, the assignment operator is not equals, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's actually this little arrow pointing to the left. So in this case, we're going to do A equals A. And then we're going to do, let me see if I can find, plus 1. And then I'm going to hit new line. My keypads are a little sticky here. And then I'm going to do, all right, searching. I think that's probably the hardest thing until you get used to this. Is, here it is. So to make this fun, we're going to do note. And then we're going to, now remember, note is a variable. So we got to assign it A, which on this side is blue. And then we're going to do mod eight, and then I'm going to hit new line, and now I'm going to say 3, and I'm going to say go to, I can find go to 1. All right. So let's run our program and do something for real. I'm going to go new line. Oh, maybe I don't need to. Let me just run. Hoping you're hearing that okay. So what it does is it does a scale, and it does a mod 8. So what that means is, mod is an interesting command, and it actually has to do with division. So let me see here real quick if I can explain it. Hold on, let me read the actual definition of what it does here in the manual, and then I will explain mod to you. So manual says, okay, so what it is you got a mod 8, and what it is it's a divide by 8 and get the remainder of that. So what it is it's always a number that is up to 8. Isn't that kind of cool? If you notice, down here on the screen is note is. So because the division is by 8, anyways, let me stop it. So anyways, what you can do is you can use this mod to set it to a number that by using division on the full number, you can use it to get a range of numbers. So, you know what I'm curious about is what happens when A reaches 99? Does it just roll over? It does. All right, very cool. All right, so there you go. In 3 lines, we've actually written a program which is fairly fun and actually makes the Atari do something. So I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to do in a later episode, we'll do more advanced programs and play complete songs with the Atari 2600. So remember to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me about your experience programming or working with the Atari 2600. I'd love to hear about it. Until next time.